I guess I don't know much about church subculture at the moment. I don't know how much this is catching on, or how much this is spreading, or how much this is kind of becoming a valid form of worship, but I certainly think it is. I mean, I pray that the Lord lets me use not just doing the artwork, which I love, but glorifying Him as I'm doing it, which I think He wants us to do with everything. We've talked about this. You know how many times you see something and you don't even realize that, you don't even realize the thought and effort that went into that every Sunday morning, every image that's up there, even the overhead or your bulletin. Somebody designed that. That's art.
So eventually, your ability to do what you see in your mind's eye is going to get easier. It's good. The chasm between what I want to happen and what can actually happen gets a little bit less. With the more you do it, with the more experience. In the beginning, it's not going to be very good. In the beginning, you're not going to have as many opportunities. The quality is not going to be there. But talking about children, they do a lot of walking and a lot of sitting and a lot of rocking before they're running around. Nobody seems to think that's a big shocker. But when it comes to doing something artistic, or when it comes to doing something like this, you want it to be, Cecil B. DeMille right off the bat. And it's just not. It's just not there. If you were to ask me from an artistic standpoint, I would say that the struggles that everyday real people have don't always look like, I did come right out of the gate with the Jesus painting, I know that. But they don't always look like more traditional paintings that you would see in a church setting. They're a bit more authentic, they're a bit more sincere. You're trying to capture a whole faith in a painting, and that's difficult. But also, there's a lot of vulnerability in it, I think, anything artistic. And right now we're talking about using your artistry, kind of marrying it to your faith and trying to glorify God with it. Any artist is trying to get their, I guess you would say, emotions, personal life experience, what you're going through. We've been spending time in Philippians to try to capture the mood of this particular painting and to try to tell a story. And we talked about C.S. Lewis and some of the stuff he said in trying to capture the feeling of joy. And we talked about childhood, and immediately that's something that rings true to me because obviously I have a kid. I personally have so much that is like part of me as a subconscious thing that comes out when I'm doing anything artistic, because I was so shaped by that time of my life and some of those experiences I had in my life. My mind's eye and my emotions and feelings all go back to that time, and especially now that I have a kid, so it's all new again. And relationally between God and I pray and hope and really do feel that He sees me with the kind of love that I have for my children, which is almost at times unbearable. So when you're wondering how God can send His Son to die for you, well, that's just an amount of love that's almost unimaginable considering how I feel about my kids. But when you're coming up with an idea, okay, so joy, that's what we were talking about. I immediately went to kids because I just experienced such joy, but I see how much joy they have when they're living day to day in their little everyday lives. And I thought, okay, well, we'll try and capture something in an image, in an abstract image, because that's more or less how I paint. That can express that feeling, and so that everyone will see it and immediately know, well, this is what this artist is trying to get across. And then the words paired up with it, the sermon or the music or the lyrics to the song just enrich what I'm trying to do, which is show that moment and that feeling and the thing that we're all trying to get across, which is God's promises that He will be faithful to us and He will sustain us and He will give us joy. And He will ultimately let us live in that joy forever. And this is a really cool reminder